समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Hello and welcome to ThePrint. I'm Snehesh Alex Philip and you're watching the Defence Scope. Well, I don't have to tell you that I'm here at an exhibition. And this is the International Police Exhibition being held here in New Delhi at the Bharat Mandapam. And I am at the stall of one of my favorite companies, which is the SSS Defence. And I have with me the CEO of SSS Defence, Mr. Vivek here with me. Welcome to ThePrint. So what is the new thing that you're showing us this year? What's the new development?
So about a couple of days back, we sent in a little bit of a surprise news on X about the SSS Defence Tyto, chambered in the 300 blackout. Now, in the regular course, pretty much in every booth and every expo that you will always find systems and weapons which are run-of-the-mill, chambered in the usual calibers and so on and so forth. But because our DNA today is really about R&D and putting out top quality stuff. Last year onwards, we took the call that we will no longer be purely developing for the Indian market, but we would also be developing for the global market. And the net beneficiary of this would finally be India, because certain innovations and certain calibers which are of importance today and in vogue with a lot of special forces and operatives outside of India have never come to India simply because of the fact that no Indian OEM is bothered to do any R&D or put out systems in that area. Of course, yes, you've got a lot of foreign companies like Beretta and SIG and all of these guys who've been doing developments in these lines. So the SSS Defence Tyto is what you see in here.
So this is the Tyto.
That's the Tyto.
And what's special about Tyto?
The thing about Tyto is the very first weapon that has been specifically designed for urban sniper stroke counter sniper operations. It is possibly the quietest weapon in the world in its caliber.
And what's the caliber?
It's 300 blackout, right? The 300 blackout is a 7.62 into 35. So
7.62
into 35 in metric terms. Now, the 7.62 into 35 is basically in between the 5.56 and the 7.62 into 51, right? So it's an ammunition which has got phenomenal stopping power. It's capable of being offered in both subsonic and supersonic ammunition. Subsonic is something that kind of lends itself very clearly to urban combat and special forces operations. For example, SWAT teams internationally love to use the 7.62 into 35 or 300 blackout and subsonic ammunition. Now, the Tyto came about because of certain international requirements. There were certain users outside of India which otherwise were receiving support from NATO countries. But after a certain point in time, because of geopolitics, will no longer be able to get those weapons either from the US or from Russia. And there are very few OEMs outside of the regular run-of-the-mill OEMs who are able to put forward a highly competitive product, right? Something which is very great on quality, innovation in design, and is also rightly priced, right?
So, for example, you said this is primarily been made for the international market, right? So, which means that there is a demand for what you call as an urban sniper.
That's right.
Now, what you have is the .338 sniper, and then of course you have the Viper here, right? Both are sniper rifles, and if you could just explain to our viewers what is the difference between these two sniper rifles?
Right. Okay. So that's close to 9 kilos in weight. That's close to 7 kilos in weight. That can take you up to 1,800 meters. That will take you up to about 1,000 meters, right? Tell me something, in urban requirements, in urban Overwatch, for example, would you want to shoot at 1,000 meters?
No, it's
You
about
would never do
it's
that.
100, 150, 200 meters.
200. For example,
Or
you
less
want to-
than that even.
You want to provide VIP security. You want to have security in football stadiums. You want to have security in VIP installations. You got specific events where you basically need to have Overwatch and so on and so forth. That is a kind of environment. So, considering the fact that this is an environment, you're never going to see large volumes of this ever go out.
Yeah.
But it's a statement in effect that you're able to put forward a weapon which is very sophisticated, very quiet, very small. In the sense, this particular weapon, I could remove the suppressor from this, right? I could fold this weapon. I could put the rest of the weapon into a bag, put the suppressor into a bag.
When you're saying bag as in backpack?
Backpack.
Okay.
So in effect, I could actually put the whole weapon, disassemble into a backpack, go into my Overwatch position, put it together in less than a minute, and get operational.
So you're saying this becomes like the Scott sniper rifle in an urban environment?
Squad, sniper, rifle, and covert.
Okay.
Right.
And covert.
And covert.
Okay.
Right. So,
Interesting.
say for example, see, the thing about sniper operations is this: it is always being associated with ace sniper, but not everyone is an ace sniper. I mean, you've got squad snipers, you've got scout snipers, you've got people who are just purely great shooters, but not great snipers. Now, if you are at 1 kilometer, then you've got to be practicing for 1 kilometer. So not everyone is capable of being ready for that 1.5 kilometer shot. But expect that there will be a lot more of good marksmen who can take shots at 150 to 200 meters. And in that particular environment, which is a very typical urban environment, you want to be quiet. You want to be able to move along.
So that's why it comes with a suppressor,
That's
inbuilt
why-
suppressor.
Inbuilt suppressor, but you can disassemble it, put that into your backpack. The rest of the weapon can be folded in at the buttstock, and you can put that into a backpack. Climb your steps, maybe go onto the top of a building, put it together in one piece, and then become the Overwatch for VIP movement.
For VIP movement.
Right?
Or for any
Or
other operation.
or maybe onto the top of a football stadium, because in a football stadium, if you find some kind of a hostage situation or something unfolding, you don't want to be shooting at 1 kilometer. You want to be shooting at 150 meters to 200 meters.
And so any kind of sight can also be fixed on this?
Normally, we would like to give a low power variable optic because your range is never going to be 1.5 kilometers, 2 kilometers. You want it to be light, you want it to be effective, right? So that's the kind of solution that we are offering in here. We'll have multiple variants of this. For example, we'll have one which is a raised cheek rest as well in the next variant of this. The other interesting thing, now if you look at this particular bolt, it's not a standard sniper rifle bolt. This is a straight pull bolt.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, close it.
Okay.
Pull back again. Right? So it gives you follow-on shots much quicker. Might require a change to your muscle memory,
Here, which is the rotational one.
where you there's a 90-degree throw, you would take it out and then you would pull it back.
This is, normally, if you could just show to our viewers.
Right. So
normally,
so you have the throw in every sniper rifle, right? So in this particular instance, that is the throw for you. Push it back, put it back together, close it, and then you fire. In this particular instance, it's a straight pull. There aren't too many straight pull bolt actions. I mean, some of the most legendary companies in this world do have a straight pull. There are German, Austrian companies which have been mastering the straight pull bolt action for years together. We wanted to actually create a straight pull bolt action also, right? Because there's certain advantages to that one, and if you're able to make it really good, it can be a beautiful, quick follow-on, sort of a system for you to be in this particular environment. Like I'm saying, this is not for long-range snipers.
Okay. And the other thing that you call it the 300 blackout. What does that do? What does the name signify?
Well, that's just the US commercial market name for this particular caliber. Just like you have the 338 Lapua Magnum, the US basically decided to call it the 300 Blackout. But actually speaking, it is a 7.62 into 35. And we've done enough testing on this particular weapon. The interesting story about this weapon is last year we launched the 300 Blackout assault variant, integrally suppressed again. Now, the kind of work that we did on that for a very protracted period of time in understanding the ballistics of that particular caliber, the way it functions inside the barrel, the kind of rifling that will work in tandem with it, the ability of that particular weapon to give you, a certain kind of a mission requirement and so on and so forth. That basically enabled us to put this weapon out in less than a month.
In less than a month?
Less than a month.
So
That's what I call spiral development.
when you say less than a month, does it also mean design? Or you're talking about just the manufacturing part of it?
I'm talking about the design part of it. The
The
manufacturing.
design and the manufacturing.
The manufacturing came in much later. As
Yeah.
in, once we designed the weapon is when we kind of did the prototype, put it through the testing, and now we can actually manufacture. So this is a ready to manufacture unit. It's
Okay.
not a prototype. It's been taken through the paces of testing. But we would never be able to design this particular weapon if we had not done a lot of work on the Raptor. The Raptor was our Raptor was a swimming pool where we actually learned.
Okay.
Right? And now we are in the sea with this particular weapon.
Viewers, if you want to see how the rifles are manufactured, I'd earlier gone to the SSS Defence facility in Bangalore and done a video. The link for that is there in the description. Do click on it and watch that video as well. But, Vivek, tell me now, you're not limiting yourself to now just the small arms. You're now expanding into other field, which is, what is that?
So the areas, so let's go back to the DNA of the company. Now, as a company, we took a call a few years back that we want to be everything hard kill, right? So, our vision was to be the #1 hard kill company in the world,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Possibly the most respected hard kill company in the world as well. But hard kill in itself now needs to be in multiple arenas.
Yeah.
So you need to be hard kill on land, air, and sea.
Yeah.
5 years, and we've basically come to terms with the fact that drones aren't going anywhere. Drones are going to be a little more nimble in the way that they can actually be potential threats to both systems as also individuals. So about 2 years back, we started working on counter-drone warfare with hard kill. We inherently believe that soft kill has limitations and hard kill has lesser limitations, and it's been tried and tested for years together. So we started working on a platform which is called Varaha. That's a counter-drone platform that uses acoustic sensing. Very few companies in this world have knowledge of that particular area. Most of them try to work on the electromagnetic spectrum.
I'll ask you to hold there while let's walk over to the one that you're talking about, so that the viewers get a better view of it. So there you go, viewers. This is the anti-drone system that Vivek was talking about. So now explain it to us. What do you mean by acoustic anti-drone system?
So look at this. You've been looking at RF jamming as an option. You've looked at radar as an option to detect the presence of drones.
Yeah.
This is one more additional medium, right? A drone inherently is going to create sound as it moves through the air. As long as there are propellers in there, as long as there are ICE engines in there, you're likely to be creating a sound. Acoustics has always been a difficult area for people to study because of the fact that most of them look and try to solve for acoustics from a radar background. But acoustics is more about fundamental physics. So we actually set up a team. We've got about 5 people who've left very cushy, very fancy jobs in NASA and the European Space Agency working on deep space phenomena to join us over the course of the last 1.5 years.
NASA and the European Space Agency have joined.
Absolutely, yes.
Wow. Okay.
So I've got 5 PhDs basically helming the show in this particular instance, doing pure R&D, right? And now R&D in this particular instance is not about hitting the hitting the gold's reserve in a day. It takes many months worth of trials, many months worth of failures to be able to hit to that point. And acoustic sensing is basically an area where currently there's a lot of demand for one reason. It's not active, it's passive. Number 2, it is foolproof, right? Number 3, it is difficult, but yet if you're able to solve for it, then you have a system which can basically lend itself to any environment. You can lend itself to perimeter security, you can put this on a ship, you can put this on an armored vehicle, you could put this onto infantry systems. And the interesting part is this, we did not look at this as purely a sensing thing, we looked at going from detection to tracking to integrating with hard kill. So you could integrate this with a remote weapon station and a 7.6251 or a 12.7 by 99. If the ammunition on that is also made for counter-drone, then you could hit ranges as long as 1,000 meters. You could integrate with an interceptor drone that's got a warhead on there, so that Varaha basically gives the coordinates of where exactly your threat is. The interceptor drone flies in the direction of the threat, and there's an onboard camera which enables you to trigger the warhead electronically when you're about 5 meters away from the target, causing an airburst and destruction. The other thing about Varaha is it's omnidirectional, and it does not matter whether you have a swarm or whether you have one individual drone, it is still able to pick it up.
So what's the range as far as this Varaha is concerned?
So from a very, very small drone all the way up to a Shahed, the ranges will change because of the fact that the acoustic signature of all of these tends to vary.
Yeah.
But a really small drone, we've managed to actually get test data and detect it, right? At about 500 meters. The 10
Let's say
kg,
an FPV type drone.
very, very small drone.
Yeah, okay.
Like maybe
So
even
nano.
smaller than a nano drone.
In nano drone, you were able to detect 500 meters.
Nano drone between 300 to 500 meters. So you have this
Okay.
category of nano drones.
Yeah,
We have the
yeah,
smallest
okay.
one at 200 meters,
Yeah.
slightly larger one at 500 meters. A 10 kg drone has been detected at about 1 kilometer. That's current range. Our design range is expected to be going up by about 1.5 times. So hopefully that one kilometer will become 1.5 kilometers
1.5.
because the fundamental algorithms which kind of underpin this particular technology are still getting better. Our indigenization of the individual components and the sensors in itself is kind of improved over the course of the last 3 months, purely because of the fact that there were embargoes, there were sanctions,
Yeah.
right? Indians do wonderfully well. When you don't get access to a technology, the team actually
That's
starts
when,
pulling
yeah,
up,
yeah.
and then suddenly we do things which we were never, imagining ourselves to do at some point in time.
Okay. So you're saying, so when it comes to Shahid, what's
Up to 7 to 8 kilometers of detection.
7 to 8 kilometers of detection.
Interestingly, it's not only detection, it is also localization thereafter. So we could track the presence of the drone once it is detected
And then track
with a
it.
3-degree error.
Okay.
And suppose you're able to transfer that coordinate to a remote weapon station with its own electro-optic system, then your field of view is able to be narrowed, and then we have an autonomous fire control also that can be utilized to actually make a hard kill.
So when now, for example, you're saying this is the interceptor drone,
Right.
right? So how does this operate? So this one sends a signal to this, and then it takes off.
Absolutely.
Right? And then it goes and
And then you give general coordinates, but at the same time, this system is also tracking the other drone. So
is
there
this,
is
this
there is a
interceptor
real
is also
time.
manufactured by you, or
There are other people who do drones wonderfully, so we don't make the drones. We are more interested in the warhead and the
Okay.
trigger side of it.
Okay,
And giving
okay.
the signals to the interceptor drone, we'd rather work with the ecosystem. There are many people who actually do a wonderful job when it comes to making drones. And as the requirement for hardening drones is improving, we're going to be only getting better drones in this country. But the payload and the networking that basically underpins the hard kill is what we
Yeah.
want to work on.
but you're sourcing it from an Indian company.
Absolutely, we're sourcing this from an Indian
But I
company.
can also see a small missile, where you call it a missile rocket kind of a thing there. What is that?
That's an experimental one.
Okay.
Kavya Tempter. As of today, we will be playing around with this one. It's basically with actuated fins, tail fins. So what you're doing again is giving the signal from Varaha onto the system that's on board, right? And then what you're trying to do here is basically be fired towards the target. There is propellant, there is energetics in there which will basically enable you to fly as close as possible to the target, and then have an airburst there with the warhead.
So this is currently which has been tested right now.
We are fiddling with it.
Okay.
So if you see it there, don't believe right now, even if someone tells you that it's all ready, it is not ready. It'll take us at least about 6 months for us to fiddle with this, do certain rounds of experimentation.
You know, you had also earlier, I remember speaking to you a few months back, where you had spoken about a shotgun that you had developed. What is that? If you could just...
Before we go to the shotgun, let's talk about this one as well.
Okay.
In the Russia-Ukraine war,
Yeah.
for the last 3 years,
Yeah.
every individual squad, whether that squad is on a light vehicle or whether that squad is on a BMP or it's on on foot, has come under pressure from really small drones being FPVs.
Yeah.
Now, when you are under that kind of a threat, you pretty much have only one option, which is basically pray to God,
Exactly.
right, and stand in front of it, right? The one thing that suddenly came into the equation between imminent death and possibly a chance to survival was the Russians and the Ukrainians in equal measure experimenting with the 12 gauge. The 12 gauge by far is not a weapon which is commonly used by assault teams.
Yeah.
It's generally used for breaching in certain operations. But for the very first time, the shotgun made its appearance in the Ukraine-Russia war theater. There must have been thousands of individual soldiers and squads who have been saved because of the fact that they've managed to shoot at the drone. A high-speed one, that too, with a 12 gauge shotgun and the counter-drone ammunition on it. The shotgun pellets could be made out of steel or could be made out of tungsten, whatever be the case. And you could, possibly interdict your target at ranges all the way from 25 meters up to 90 meters, based upon how good you are.
Yeah.
So we started building the shotgun. We did not go with the standard shotgun models, which are always pump action shotguns. We went in for a semi-automatic, which means follow-on shots can be quick and magazine fed, so that you could keep reloading the magazines instead of trying to kind of feed it one after the other into the tube.
Yeah.
And so that became the T12 shotgun. We'll talk about that before. But even before you are able to kind of look at a shotgun, Varaha still has the ability to use the acoustic sensing platform and detect the presence of a drone. Give a signal to the individual operator that, hey, at 200 meters, you have a small drone that's coming at you at 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock or whatever it is. So that's what you see here as a soldier-mounted system.
Varaha.
That's a miniature Varaha. So
Wow.
the fundamental technology is unchanged. The sensor has been miniaturized. Range is going to be lower. Error levels are going to be higher. But it will still tell you that there is a threat. And the key part in counter-drone warfare is to know that there is a threat, because the last thing you want to be doing is realizing that there is a threat at you at 25 meters and then having to say, oh good Lord, I'm done.
So where does, for example, this is the helmet, right? And I'm wearing this.
That's right. And you
It
have the audio
detects-
signals
I have
in the
an
battery.
audio signal here.
Right. You can have an earpiece in there which is connected to your sensor here.
Okay.
Right. And you have the battery. So the battery keeps kind of supplying you with the power that's needed. It's very low power. It does not require a heavy battery. Right. Now, if you're walking through let's say a jungle, and then you have Varaha that tells you that, okay, drone at 200 meters, 3 o'clock, that gives you at least about 5 to 10 seconds
To
orient
react.
yourself,
Yeah, to orient.
and then the T12 shotgun can be utilized.
Wow. Okay.
But this gives you an added 5 seconds at least to protect yourself. And 5 seconds in warfare is a lot of time.
So, how many are the Ukrainians and Russians also using a similar technology?
So we found a lot of interest on this one. We launched this, in fact, in stealth mode during Millipol Paris for a very small group of people, largely OEMs, largely not users, specifically OEMs who actually could bundle this product along with the other products that we're kind of selling for counter drones. The interest that we got in the course of that one was phenomenal. What we did thereafter is to kind of increase the range, make the sensors even smaller, so that now you can have the sensors mounted on a helmet.
There you go.
And then basically give the signals through one of your earpieces. And what we've been doing since then is basically refining the product so that it can be used by an individual soldier, as against, being in, for example, this variation of Varaha is for an armored, vehicle. There's another version of Varaha which is a fixed installation. There's another version of Varaha which is a man-portable installation. But finally, at the end of the day, being able to give an extra 5 seconds to the soldier matters a lot, especially when you want to protect your life. This is a defensive thing.
Yeah.
This is not an offensive thing, understand that. This is to protect your life.
It is protect your life.